Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes, sir.
pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you.
Since the first Biden-Harris administration's appointee took office in July 2021, processing times for Social Security disability claims have increased from 165 days cumulative to over 231 days nationally for FY24, while your agency has received substantial funding increases. And this is according to your own data.
Yes, sir.
When I look at that 231-day figure, for example, it says that the total cumulative average processing time for initial disability claims, which is 231 days for FY24, included 21 and a half days for Social Security field offices, 186.2 days at state DDS offices, and 23.4 days at other public or at other parts of the application process. And the data for the FY24 is from the Social Security's fiscal year 2024 actual performance publication. So these are your numbers.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you agree with them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, fantastic. So what is the current regulatory requirement for state? What is the current regulatory requirement for days?
Oh, for days?
For initial processing of disability claims, excuse me.
There is none, but historically, before the staffing reductions, we were hitting it at about 120-day average. In Maryland, they're over 366 today.
Yeah, I know Maryland, I think, is...
Pretty bad. South Carolina's the
Yeah,
worst.
it is. Well, actually, there is a requirement, sir, and it's 20 CFR 404.1642 for state, and that is 49.5 days for DDS in state, and that's in the regs. All right, I'm surprised you don't know that, sir. So, your FY25 goal.
What do those regs state to? I wasn't aware. I've never ever heard that number.
All right.
But thank you. I learn something new every day in this job, and I have 10 more days to learn.
Well, I wish you well on where you're going, sir.
Thank you.
Now, your FY24-25 priority goals, all right, say by September, and this is, again, your
Yes, sir.
from your
Oh,
agency.
I live and breathe it every day.
Okay, by September 30th, 2025, achieve an average processing time for initial disability claims of 215 days. 215 days is a lot compared to the statutory requirement of 49.5 plus, now granted that doesn't include the 21.5, that doesn't include the Social Security field offices or the other parts of the application process, but
Right.
that pales in comparison to what the state requires or what the state processing times are. So my question to you is, what is your plan to reduce these wait times in each area?
Yes, sir. We have a whole plan on it. In fact, we have a Tiger team. There's 15 main actions that the Tiger team has proposed, and one of those action items is something they asked me to ask of all of you, which is to allow us to put the medical authorization form right in the front of the application because it causes a lot of friction, a lot of wasted time. But there's others as well, and I'm glad to share those with you. This is one of the top 3 priorities that the president asked me to throw myself at. One of them was 1-800 number. We wrestled that one to the ground. Still struggle with it when peak times like COLA. So we got that from an hour wait time down to 12 and a half minutes. The overpayment thing, we did that by April. Nobody has 100% of their overpayments anymore. But the disability one is tough. It is a huge challenge and process improvement, and we're trying to do it with more applicants than we've ever had, but staffing reduced to a 50-year low. As you rightly pointed out, there are a few steps in the process. One of them is to get the person with the disability into the field office right away.
That means that there have to be people manning the field
Yes, sir.
office,
And
which goes back to Chairman's question about the fact that people are not in the field offices. If 3 days out of the week is the requirement, then why is it not 5 days out of the week?
This graph shows that we only got, at the beginning of the year, only 46% of disability applicants. We got into a field office within the 28 days, a goal we set for ourselves. Now it's up to 64. So another trend moving in the right direction. But you see the biggest part, and my graph agrees with your graph.
Okay.
This is a database conversation. This is the part where the biggest time frame comes and where the variation is across the 50 states. So we look at that, and then when we have the few new hires, once you all pass the CR, that we can do. That's why this anomaly funding is so important. We need that anomaly funding to shore up the states so that they can process these. But another point is we created a federal cadre, and because our workforce is portable and the internet, we are bailing out states from other places.
I mean, you're responsible for funding the states, correct?
Yes, we are.
Oh, you are. Okay. Now, since
I just
2021,
administer your will, but you're the one responsible for funding the states.
well, from the money that the Social Security Administration receives, they fund the states. You know, and in the last 3 years, in 2021, you received a $400 million increase. In 2022, you received a $750 million increase. All right. In 2024, $100 million increase. Those are substantial increases.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking,
I see the
you know, $1.2 billion in the last 3 years. That's a lot of money.
Our agency has big numbers. Here's the thing that throws us, and I really appreciate your question, and this confuses a lot of people. Our agency, because of our size, has fixed costs that go up every year by $600 million. What are those fixed costs? Rent, even though we've reduced by 3 million square feet the office we occupy. So when it goes up every year by 600 million for healthcare, for cost of living increases for employees, for the guards, the security guards to protect our people when they come to those reception areas, that means that any number that purports to increase our funding, like let's say for that 1 year where it went up by $100 million on a $14 billion budget, what you have to realize is that means with fixed costs going up and only getting another 100 million, we have to slam on the brakes in an agency that's 75% staff, including the DDS staff, and let the grim reaper of attrition reduce the size of our workforce.
Well,
so in order just to keep our nose above the water, we need at least an additional $600 million just to cover the flat costs. And the only of the three things that are here, I mean, I'm grateful that the Senate increased by $500 million. You voted to cut us by $500 million, but really it's only the president's that starts to get us out of that hole. So that's why the anomaly would be so important.
I have a
That very
recommendation
graph
for you
have.
then. You know, perhaps it would be a good idea, you know, if your costs are going up $600 million every year, perhaps y'all should get together with the new agency, you know, the Department of Government Efficiency, and maybe Elon Musk and Vivek can help you guys kind of trim that and make sure that doesn't.
Buy some Bitcoin of the same name.
I yield back.